Hello and welcome, especially to the early birds. I appreciate some people are going to be trickling in over the next few minutes. So I am really excited to welcome you to the finale of our 2024 Impact Investor Challenge for Women-Led Ventures. I'm Caroline von Hirschberg and I'm co-CEO of Spring, and I have the absolute pleasure of kickstarting this event. So this represents the culmination of weeks of learning, collaborations, and conversations among a cohort of impact-driven investors and inspiring entrepreneurs from across Canada. And as you arrive, I would love to know who's in the room. So please feel free to share your name, whether you're representing a particular organization or are here as an investor. Please do pop your comments in the chat. I'd love to know who's here. And our Spring team is joining from coast to coast across North America. Personally, I'm deeply grateful to live in the traditional, ancestral and unceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish and Tsleil-Waututh nations in Vancouver. And just as you pop your name in, I'd love to hear where you're from, where you're based, but also who have been the guardians and stewards of the lands in which you reside long before us. Across this event, we'll be hearing from and celebrating inspiring leaders who are all working to build a better future for our people and shared planet. So I'm going to take you through the agenda for the event. After a bit of a welcome from myself and sharing some context around what we're up to in this program, I'm really excited about the conversation that Luann Tolosa, Spring's VP of Growth, is going to be having with Kathy Thorpe, who's CEO of Nurse Next Door and also author of Bold Kindness. We'll then hear from 3 inspiring ventures who are being considered for investment this evening, and a 4th who's also been part of this program journey, but is not putting themselves forward this evening for investment. And then as participating investors go off to deliberate in a separate room and make their decision on who they're going to be investing over $150,000 in, I'll have the pleasure of reconnecting with 3 previous winners to hear about their journeys since they raised investment through Spring's Impact Investor Challenges. After that, we'll be announcing the People's Choice Award, so that is your vote, and the final winner, followed by virtual networking. So first, I wanted to introduce who Spring is. Some of you will be extremely familiar and some not as much, especially in our much grown format over the past few years. So Spring exists to change the world through innovation. What that means and how we do that is through supporting impact-driven founders with innovative ideas to be investment ready and connect them with values-aligned funders and investors. And in parallel, we support a community of both new and experienced investors to become angel investors with an impact lens. Over the past 10 years, so we celebrated our 10-year birthday in January. Over the past 10 years, we've supported over 3,100 entrepreneurs, catalyzed over 50 million investment, but we can update this slide, and trained 900 investors in our mission to make every investor an impact investor and every entrepreneur an impact entrepreneur. And this event, this program, the Women-Led Impact Investor Challenge, links to our mission about supporting underrepresented founders, which means intentionally designing programs and catalyzing more diverse community of entrepreneurs and investors. And this particular Impact Investor Challenge has been developed in recognition of the amazing opportunities that supporting women and non-binary founders can create. So not only do these founders often build companies that address overlooked sectors and market needs, their growth and performance also outpaces the rate of male-only led companies across multiple performance metrics, including revenue, job creation, team diversity, and much more. We can definitely link to all the stats and studies in the chat. But programs like this one, communities like ours, your involvement and investment in these ventures is actually moving the dial. So if we look at VC investment in women-led companies, there's been an increase in the percentage of VC funding going to these businesses from 2% in 2022 to 3% in 2023. But that's only 3%. So what that means is there are huge opportunities to create values-driven financial returns are being missed. And so we're here to change that with you. Right, let's talk about the program. So tonight is the culmination of 2.5 months. 39 investors have been on a journey with 15 entrepreneurs down to the 4 that you'll meet this evening, building relationships and being guided through a due diligence process. And we're here today to celebrate the culmination of all that hard work that both the investors and founders have done, and make a pooled investment of at least 150,000. And often, as these challenges go, these not only serve as a proof point for all involved and a huge credibility boost, but they're often a catalytic check in an entrepreneur's raise. So I'm really excited to see also how the finalists do in their fundraising efforts after this program. Along the journey, both the entrepreneurs and the investors have been supported and guided by experienced speakers, mentors, coaches, subject matter experts. And so hats off to you. Thank you so much for your involvement and your time and sharing your expertise. And I also want to say a huge shout out to our incredible partners and funders. Our work at Spring would not be possible without you. And I really want to recognize in the context of this program, NRC IRAP, who have been providing multi-year support for our work, specifically with women and non-binary entrepreneurs. DLA Piper is a long-standing partner and absolutely generous supporter across our investment programs. MNP have an amazing team of accountants, keeping Spring on the straight and narrow, and absolute champions of our work since the early days. Inc., Jeff and your team of incredible founder-friendly lawyers who have also been supporting the entrepreneurs on their investment readiness journey. And in Tandem have been supporting each of these founders on their deal rooms and financial readiness on the journey too. RSM it's been amazing to have them join in support of Spring this year, and ongoing work with the fantastic Genis team who provide values-aligned investment solutions. We have long-standing champions at Carl Jung Financial Services and amazing employment lawyers at Porter Law. If you don't have any, I would highly recommend Paula and her team. And last but not least, BDC Thrive Lab, who have been and continue to be incredible collaborators on our shared mission to create meaningful change and positive returns through investing in women-led ventures. So it's an absolute pleasure to invite Anne-Marie, who is the Director of Investment and Innovation for BDC Thrive's Lab, to share a bit more about their mission and work. So I'm going to see if she's backstage and invite her to join us.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that generous introduction, Caroline. I hope I can start.
Please do.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much again. It's a real pleasure to be here. I have to say, as a member of the investment team at the Thrive Lab, it's really been a pleasure to be able to lean in and partake in so many of the investment sessions that you've had over the last few weeks. And I've really sort of been quite impressed by the group of founders and visionaries that you brought together and the types of questions. They've really kind of kept me on my toes during some of the investor sessions. And it's been really quite clear from the get-go, and we started talking about this early last year of what this was going to be, that there would be huge alignment between our impact focus and yours. And this has been incredibly validated over the last few weeks as we've seen the sessions kind of unfold. The need for greater impact focused investments in the hands of women managers and founders is never been clearer. And the impact focus that we have at the Thrive Lab is wholly centered on that mandate. So why are we an impact fund? Quite clearly, we're an impact fund at the Thrive Lab because we believe in creating impact in 3 very clear, distinct ways. Number 1, much like Spring, we're looking to be able to identify, fund, and properly capitalize the strongest and most visionary female founders and managers out there across the country. Number two, we're really looking to create a catalyst effect within the asset class of impact by really focusing our investments in particular SDG categories where we feel like there's a clear market gap. So those SDGs include investing in companies focused on responsible consumption, production, food security, health and well-being, education, and underrepresented communities. And this is what has been so pivotal in our partnership with Spring, is that they really have been helping us and partnering with us and collaborating with us in being able to identify some of the strongest companies that fit within those SDG verticals. And number three, we're looking to create a stronger community of impact investors across the country. So we've adopted a co-investment model that includes 26 partners at this point all across the country in different ecosystems and markets that are angel groups, family offices, accelerators, and incubators that are all focused on the same goal of ensuring that we can put the right amount of capital, the highest amount of capital in the hands of female founders and managers focused on building impact-driven businesses. And so we're very proud of the group of 26 partners that we've brought together, and Spring is amongst them. And we're so grateful for the collaboration that we've had up to this point in so many ways. We talk about a co-investment model, but already it's been so much more than that. It's been collaborating on developing events like where we are today. It's been on really thinking through how best do we develop, on both our ends, robust and inclusive pipelines. How do we source certain deals in a thoughtful and inclusive kind of way? How do we ensure that the asset class and ecosystem for impact is resilient and robust over time? Some of these great big points and questions have been brought up in our discussions between the two teams. And so I'm very grateful to have had sort of the greatest sparring partner that I can imagine out there in the team at Spring. So again, thank you. I've had the benefit of being able to touch base with many of the founders who are here today and have been part of the competition in Toronto especially, and I've been very grateful for all the questions that have come my way. And I am to say it's an amazing list of people who have been part of this challenge, but I really want to send a special shout out to the top 5 who have been here till the end. And I know in each and every one of your own ways, you're building impactful businesses for the long run. So I'm very keen to sort of see what the outcome is of today, and if we can try and find a fit within our investment thesis at the lab to be able to continue with your fundraising journey, because that's what this is. It's a fundraising journey. And the best thing that we can do amongst all of us here today is band together and try and build the strongest syndicates around events like this, around these challenges, so that they really are fundraising efforts to build runway, to build towards milestones, towards building to that next fundraising goal. So I think Spring and the lab have done an incredible job so far, and I look forward to future events like this. And I really just want to congratulate and focus on the 5 finalists that have gotten here today, and look forward to hopefully touching base with each and one of you again going forward. So to the Spring team, thank you so much for your amazing collaboration and for providing us a little space to partake in the event over the last few weeks.
Absolutely. Really appreciate those words. And collaboration exactly is what comes to mind. I've loved having you and the team as thought partners and on a learning journey, as we figure out, okay, how do we develop a really strong and resilient pipeline of women-led ventures that are going to be thriving? And I love your reference to journey, because that's exactly what this is. This is a catalytic moment for each of these finalists, and each of them, as we'll hear a bit later from previous winners, go on to do amazing things. So I'm really looking forward to continued collaboration and support for these ventures. Great. Wonderful. And we feel incredibly grateful to be one of the lab's 26 co-investment partners and to continuing our shared mission together. So now I'm going to hand over to Luann, and she'll have her discussion with Kathy Thorpe.
Thank you, Caroline. Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm very happy to be here this evening. My name is Luann Tolosa, VP of Growth at Spring. I'm responsible for leading all things growth and expansion across Spring's business units and entities. I'm personally really excited and privileged to be leading this part of the agenda for a conversation with Kathy Thorpe. And so I'd love to spend a little bit of time introducing her and then bringing her on stage. So Kathy Thorpe She is an absolute force in the Vancouver business community and beyond, most recently recognized as one of the most top influential women in business in 2024 by BIV. She serves as the CEO of Nurse Next Door and is one of the world's fastest growing home care providers, which has expanded to over 400 franchise locations across worldwide under her leadership. Her vision, she aims to transform the global aging experience, advocating for the autonomy of seniors and their ability to live with joy, with dignity. And at the heart of Kathy's leadership philosophy lies this concept of bold kindness, which I'm really excited to dig into today, emphasizing compassion, emphasizing courage, and empowering team members to become self-led leaders. And this philosophy is what has allowed Kathy to cultivate both a vibrant company culture and substantial business growth across the world. So I'd love to welcome Kathy to the stage.
Hello.
Hello, Kathy. Welcome.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Yeah, huge thank you so much for being here with us and spending the time with us. Just immense gratitude and appreciation for you being here. So I'll let you say some highs to the audience and tell us, maybe starting off, why you're excited to be here with us.
Well, hello, everyone. It's great to be here. And, just listening to the first part of this show, it just, to be part of such an exciting day, it seems like such a journey to get here. And every business starts at zero. And I think of, the last 21 years of Nurse Next Door. I've been the CEO here for 10 years. But, John and Ken started this 21 years ago at zero and grew it into, when I started 10 years ago and now into what we have today. And I just think the journey and just the fun that you can have along the way, it's just awesome to be here today as you start that journey.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Kathy. I love a great story. And so you started with the beginning, your organization being internationally renowned, 400 franchises across the world. You talked about starting from zero. Along the way, in terms of that journey, there were probably multiple factors of success that made Nurse Next Door what it is today. Could you speak to some of those success factors of what made this company really stand out over the course of the last 21 years?
Listen, we're in home care and it's a purpose-driven organization. And every single day we have tons of stories of how we're helping people stay at home. What I would say is foundationally, we've gone after a concept we call happier aging. And it's really about, what did that person used to love doing that they can't do anymore? And building that into just, what we do with the clients and what we provide for the clients. And that could be something as simple as taking someone for a walk because they love to get outdoors, they love to get into nature, and they haven't been able to do that. It could be taking someone on a trip. And I think the point of it is it's always those little things that, just bring people back that happiness and joy in their life. And I will say that that's what we focus on every single day with every single client. And that's allowed us to really create a brand around happier aging.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Kathy. And so you talk about this concept of joy. You actually talk about that a lot in your book, Bold Kindness. We alluded to that in the beginning. Can you explore a little bit more of what this concept is? Because you do that internally as well as externally with your organization.
Yeah, let me step back and it's my journey of my career and just those experiences that I've had with great bosses. I was with the Gap for a long time and I ran the German organization. And I remember a boss named Steven, and he actually came over for a trip one time, and I picked him up at the airport and we ended up driving down the Autobahn, and he cranked up the music because Cher came on the radio and he loved the song. And so we were driving down the road and he was singing so loud. And I just remember this experience because he was all about relationships. He was all about who are you as a person. I was 29 years old at the time. He gave me the opportunity to run the German organization. He believed in me. And that feeling of really feeling awesome with the person who's leading you just really stuck with me. And then Steven actually ended up leaving the Gap, and I had a boss that was all about numbers and all about dashboards. And, he really didn't know who I was as a person. And it impacted me. And it impacted me to the extent that I actually ended up leaving the organization after 15 years. And so that's really the start of my journey around leadership and, the impact that we make on others, and just that we have the ability to make someone's time in an organization the most incredible time, or we can take that away and take away that experience and have it not to be as great of an experience. And so when I became CEO here at Nurse Next Door, it's like, wow, what do I want this to be? What do I want to feel in this culture so that people get excited to come here every single day and love what they do?
Yeah, absolutely. And so the piece on culture, I think about our audience, our finalists, our entrepreneurs in the audience, as well as the investors in the audience. And a lot of them have started these businesses either alone or started with an idea in their backyard or garage. And as they continue on their path of their journey of entrepreneurship, a lot of the culture is the founder is the culture. But as you grow in your entrepreneurial journey, they can't do this alone. So I would love for you to expand from your perspective, what is the role of culture as you scale up a business, and how does that change over time?
Sure. Well, why don't I'm going to step back and talk about the culture that we've created here at Nurse Next Door, because we have gone from a small company when I started 10 years ago to, over 400 locations now. And obviously the evolution and change that you go through during that time, but you do have to build that foundational culture that allows you to have the space for people to be able to continue to develop and grow. And so, we start here with the concept of being self-led. And what that really means is, people who work at Nurse Next Door don't need to be managed. Mm-hmm. They know when they need to be at work. They show up on time. They know the job that needs to get done. They make it happen. And I bring up the concept of self-led because you have to have a foundation of people that are going to show up as adults and own their role in the organization. Because then what you can create, and I'll talk about bold kindness now, you can create a culture of bold kindness because you can have bold conversations with people. You can get to know people. You can be in a relationship with people. You can help them to develop. And then you can create this environment of kindness, because when you have people who are self-led, you just get to have fun and enjoy each other and really create this environment that people love coming to work. And you get to give them the space and autonomy to be able to go and take chances. You've got these smart people who want to be part of the success of the organization. And how do you give them that space to be able to go off and try things? And we always say it's not right or wrong. You just made a decision and you're moving forward with something. And that's what we have to do every single day.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would imagine there's a lot of conversations and a lot of discomfort that gets to that point of trust and allowing people the autonomy and space to make mistakes, have some failures, and then learn from them and grow. And you do talk a lot about that in your book as well, the discomfort. And there's going to be a lot of moments for our entrepreneurs in the audience as they go through this journey of feeling uncomfortable. And they've definitely felt that over the last 10 weeks through this challenge of going through due diligence for the very first time for some people. Mm-hmm. How do you channel that discomfort for good? How do you use that in a way that actually allows you to grow while still giving people the parameters and space to fail, to have autonomy, to make mistakes? How have you done that at Nurse Next Door, and some advice for our entrepreneurs as they go through their journey?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm gonna stick to my journey as a female leader over the last, many years in the course of my career. And just, starting out in my 20s and, knowing that I was a bold, direct leader, but that didn't always go over well as a female. I would get feedback that, sometimes, I could slow down. Maybe I was too direct. And, I would say that it was incongruent with my intuition. And I spent a lot of years during my 20s and 30s really struggling with, I know I'm helping people. I know I'm helping people grow and develop. So why am I getting this feedback that I'm this? And, I would say, move into my 40s, and I started to really come to terms with, you know what? I know I'm a great leader, and I know I care deeply about people. And I've developed some great leaders across many organizations over the years. And I really had to step into that, going with my intuition and believing in myself. And you know what? It really reinvented who I was as a leader. It allowed me, I would say the last 10 years here at Nurse Next Door, me being congruent with my intuition has allowed me to create this culture and this space for people to thrive in. And, it's not easy. And I know, like, it's taken me a lot of personal work, and it's been a journey to get there. But I know that, I love these conversations because everyone's human, and we all are going through things that are hard. And how do we just help support each other to really thrive and be the best that we can be?
Yeah, I love that so much, because we talk about entrepreneurship. As humans, we have so many intersectionalities that we bring to our leadership, our day-to-day lives, whether that's being a mom, whether that's being a woman, our upbringings, our gender, economic status, all of these things make us human. And so I know specifically for our entrepreneurs, maybe, and you've alluded to in terms of your past as well, sometimes we feel like we have to fit a certain mold depending on the different stakeholders we present ourselves to. So in the case of our IIC, as entrepreneurs presented to investors or talk to mentors or employees, it feels like sometimes we have to kind of mold ourselves to what they need to see. You talk about, really leaning into your bold, direct leadership and finding who your true self is as a leader later on in your path. How or what kind of advice would you have for founders to show up as their true selves, no matter what their circumstances, no matter if they're in front of their customers, their employees, their investors, their mentors? What advice would you give to allow them to step into that piece of being their true selves in any situation?
Listen, I would say be bold. And, you didn't get here because you must be awesome to have gotten here to do what you're doing today. And so know you're awesome and step into that awesomeness, because you can just bring more awesome. And, I'm going to tell you a story. So I lost my late husband to colon cancer 3 years ago. And he was sick for 2 years. So I was the CEO here at Nurse Next Door for the 2 years that he was sick. And just, I had to make a choice. I had to say, okay, so am I going to bring my full self to work? And am I going to show up and, have hard days and let people know it's a hard day? I've got 2 kids, and just the journey that I had with them, it was messy. It was a messy couple of years. And I will tell you that I chose to show up and bring my full self to work. And I cannot tell you the joy and beauty that time brought. As hard as it was, I will say that I never could have gotten through that time the way that I did if I did not have the support of every single person around me here at Nurse Next Door. And I guess my point is, like, we're all just human beings trying to do our best. We all have stories. We all go through hard times. And how do we share those moments with each other? And how do we just continue to create an environment where people can thrive and go through those hard times and feel like they have the support around them, the tribe around them, the community around them? And go for it, because life is short.
Absolutely. I love what you shared about leaning into that challenge and, the hard times, and being, open and honest. I don't know how open and honest you were with your team directly in that moment, but it sounded like you leaned on them a lot as you were going through those difficult times. I think a lot of founders, we get into this crux of, we need to know all the answers, we need to be able to solve all the things, and we need to show up in a certain way that, people don't know what's going on with us. And it sounds like, Kathy, that you really lean on your team to help get you through that next piece of your life. And I think, we're all coming in here. It's an impact challenge. And for a lot of folks, I think we started with 145 applicants. We're down to the top 5, down to only one person that will get the direct investment. So just because you don't win this challenge doesn't mean that you're not awesome, or you're obviously here for a reason. So I love that piece of it. And from here, it's not going to be smooth sailing. There's going to be a lot of forks in the road for our founders in terms of what they need to do next and what does that mean for them. Kathy, I would love to expand a little bit more, because there's not a lot of leaders that I've spoken to that are super transparent and honest with the challenges that they've come through in the past, because again, a lot of leaders like to show that they're invincible for a lot of different reasons. How, as people going through the next piece of this challenge or after this, what kind of advice would you give them to lean into bringing the community into their next phase of their journey? And as they go through barriers and challenges, what can they do to get support from their teams or their community?
Yeah, I would say, be real, be raw, bring your whole self to work, share who you are. I hold nothing back. I share exactly who I am as a leader, what I'm good at, what I'm not good at. Well, people already know what you're not good at. And what I would say is go and hire people that are better than you. Know what your weaknesses are and go and find someone who's going to do a better job, and then get out of their way. Because you know what? They're going to do a better job than you. So they don't need to hear from you how to do it. So just get out of their way and let them do it. And it gives you that space in your own head to be able to see that next vision of where the company can go. And it's only when you have those moments and that team around you that are going to be better than you, that you're going to have that space to say, okay, now I know where we can take things. Otherwise, you're doing everyone else's job.
Yeah. And it's so hard sometimes as a founders, because that is your baby as you start to let go of the things, and getting out of your own way sometimes is the biggest challenge for a lot of our founders. Kathy, we have about 1 minute left. What is one piece of advice that you'd like to leave the audience with? If they're going to take away anything from our conversation for the last 50 minutes or so, what is one thing that you hope that the audience leaves with?
Sure. So after I lost Harry, I had a choice. It was, okay, do I look at the past as the best part of my life, or am I going to create something that's going to be even better in the future? And so I went after version 2.0. And I tried things that were hard. I got into tennis. I hadn't played in a long time. And I ended up playing the first game with my skirt on backwards because I was so nervous to go. I started golfing. I started meeting new friends. And I put myself out there. I started dating again. And I guess my point is that go after the version that you want, and don't hold anything back, and just make it happen, and put one step in front of the other every single day, and you're going to create something beautiful with your life.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you, Kathy. Be bold, be kind, be authentic, be awesome, and just lean into all the things that make you human is what I'm hearing from you.
And have fun.
And have some fun, right? What's the point of All right. Thank you, Kathy, so much for joining us. I'm going to let Kathy jump off of the stage. It was so wonderful chatting with you, Kathy. For those that are interested in learning more of Kathy's work, she has her book, Bold Kindness. It's available on Amazon and Indigo, wherever you get your books. It's a very worthy read. So again, huge thank you to Kathy, inspiring us for our next phase of our journeys. So we get down to business. We're thrilled to be showcasing the next groundbreaking innovations from amazing ventures that are being considered for the investments as part of the Women-Led IIC. And each of these ventures is on a mission to create a positive impact in our world. And so we're very honored for them to be part of our conversations today. So quick reminder in terms of where they've come from. These entrepreneurs, alongside our investors, have gone through 10 weeks of intensive programming to get to this point. We started with 145 applicants. We went down to 15, down to the top 5. And now we're choosing the one venture for the direct investment. And so I know personally that this was not easy for both the entrepreneurs and investors. So getting to today in itself was an achievement. So to Kathy's point about leaning into your awesomeness, the reason why you're all in this audience, all in this room, is because of that piece of being awesome. So what will happen now is that each venture will be introduced. We will play their 5-minute pre-recorded pitch, and each entrepreneur will come to our stage to answer questions live. Meanwhile, the investors will be deliberating, and they are not going to be the only ones making a difficult choice. You, as the audience, will be able to participate in our People's Choice Award poll. So once all the pitches have been completed, all the Q&A have been completed, we will throw up a poll somewhere along this virtual platform where you'll get to vote for your favorite venture. So please keep this in mind as the ventures start to present, and then we'll put that up later. And lastly, we encourage all of you in the audience to post any questions in the chat as people are presenting, because you'll have an opportunity, if we have time, we'll have an opportunity to ask your questions live as well on stage. So that being said, I am going to just get our first, yeah, there you go. So order of pitches, we will have Vitrak first in terms of their first pitch. Scotiaderm and Vessel, and acknowledging that we will have one pitch at the end that we will be showing their video, but they were unable to come live for their Q&A, but we still wanted to honor the fact that they made it this far. So I would love to start with Vitrak. No. So Vitrak, founded by Linta Mustafa, Vitrak pairs gut microdome technology with personalized nutrition and treatment plans to improve digestive health, metabolism, immunity, and mental wellness. And we're excited to see their video on screen very shortly.
Hi, my name is Linda. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Vitract. We are unlocking precision nutrition, food as medicine, by empowering practitioners, starting with building the best gut microbiome testing. The way that we manage chronic illnesses today in our healthcare system is extremely ineffective. 1 out of 3 Americans and Canadians live with a chronic illness, and over 100 million Americans this year will have visited a holistic care provider. Now, what do all of these holistic care providers have in common? It's the fact that none of them can effectively do their jobs without looking and addressing the gut microbiome. The problem is that the tools that we have in the market today are not very comprehensive. They don't show 80% of the gut bacteria. They don't show treatment plans and how to move bacteria into the right direction. And most importantly, they are extremely unaffordable. At Vitract, we're leveraging AI to build better diagnostic tools. We are taking the thousands of research papers and scientific evidence that we have and translating them into practical clinical tools that practitioners can use. Our go-to-market is plain and simple. We sell a test to practitioners that then sell it to their clients. And more importantly, we're partnering with licensing bodies that then use our tool to educate their practitioners about the microbiome. What makes our test better is one, price. This price point allows practitioners to test in all of their patients instead of testing a couple of their patients, and this really changes the way that they deliver care. Number 2, the price point now allows them to retest and actually measure if their protocols are working and then be able to modify their strategies. Lastly, our tests are so comprehensive that beyond taking a snapshot of what's in the microbiome, we show gut microbiome modifiers that actually come in the form of nutrition, prebiotics, and probiotics that can help move bacteria into the right ranges. The gut microbiome is the biggest opportunity in healthcare today. The wellness market grew from $0 to $4 trillion in the past decade. And as an effect, integrative care practitioners, there's more of 100,000 of them in the US today, growing at 20% every single year. We are so excited and driven by the traction that we're seeing with our product. We launched the product in January and grew from 10 to 200 clinics in 4 months, seeing double-digit growth month over month. Over the next 2 months, we're set to launch in 500 more clinics. We're so privileged to be able to train clinicians from across the US and Canada and be able to empower them to use gut microbiome testing in their practice more often. We've been able to meet some of our customers at trade shows. We've had breakfast television appearances by nutritionists that love our product. This past month, we brought on our first mid-tier size client that actually, they're called Case Nutrition. They have 16 locations all across Pennsylvania. We've been supported by some of the largest podcasters and industry veterans in this space. In May, we had our launch event in Toronto. It was great to see a room full of our customers and hear one-on-one how much they love the product, and it's changed the way that they deliver care. We're on track to hit $1.5 million in sale this year. So I'm extremely lucky to be supported by some very strong technical co-founders. It's Dr. Ojibor is a molecular biologist with a PhD from the University of Toronto, and Ken has had over 30 years of experience in top companies leading their data science teams who have helped us bring this test to market. Personally, my reason for why I'm doing this is I used to be a varsity athlete. I was a varsity wrestler at Western University. I started to experience all this inflammation in the joints in my hands. It wasn't until I actually worked with an integrative care practitioner that healed my gut that I was able to actually treat all of those symptoms. And while I was going through that journey, I remember saving for months to be able to afford a gut test. And I'm really proud that the clinic that I worked with 6 years ago is now using the test that we've built. So my core value really bleeds through our product is making this tool available to a large set of clinicians and their patients. Lastly, we really focus on addressing underserved populations like women in menopause and perimenopause, and are leading clinical trials later this year to prove the effectiveness of microbiome interventions. We have raised so far in our pre-seed round $850,000 and a $7.5 million cap. For spring, we'll be offering to open up another safe at a $10 million cap. And then later this summer, we'll be opening up a seed round that's a much larger size at almost double the price. So we're excited to be able to offer this valuation to this group in the hopes of bringing on strategic angels that are going to help us continue to scale this product.
Amazing. Thank you, Linda. Welcome.
Hi, nice to be here.
Nice to meet you officially online. Linda, thank you so much for your pitch. A couple questions for you. Can you share a little bit more about your approach to partnerships and how important those are for the next milestones for VitTrack?
Absolutely. Partnerships are mission critical for us. So our go-to-market motion is really B2B2C. We partner with practitioners, and they in turn go actually educate their customers about which testing that they need in which cycle of care. So partnerships are really critical for us. We nurture them, we educate our practitioners, we provide ongoing support. So I would say they're absolutely critical.
Amazing. Can you give us some insight into maybe some partnerships that are in the pipeline or funnel that you're looking at right now and might need some support with?
Yeah, for sure. So right now, one of the main sort of practitioner groups that we're working on is within the field of integrative oncology. We're set to be actually training some of their practitioner group in October. And the main thing that we're looking for here is just making sure that there's ongoing education that's provided beyond the point of onboarding, as that's really a key component in missing in other diagnostic tests. And as you know, the gut microbiome is very complex, and all of that information that's coming out in literature can make this field very elusive. So we want to make sure that we put a step forward and we actually educate the practitioners on what biomarkers to be looking out for based on whatever condition they're treating.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so much information in terms of, trying to get a 5-minute pitch or all your information down to a 5-minute pitch. What is the one thing you'd like the audience to take away? We have a People's Choice Award that's going to come up in a little bit. What is one big takeaway that you would like the audience to have?
Yeah, I think if I were to point out one main thing that's really exciting about our journey today is how much practitioners love the product that we've built. And I think that's what makes me so enthusiastic about what we're building is I have one-on-one calls with practitioners that have been in this space for decades. They've seen everything on the market. And they're coming back and saying that they have never seen a test like this. It's completely changed the way they deliver care. And that's why I'm so excited to be building this, because I know that we have something that practitioners want and need. And at this point, it's really about figuring out the right way to sort of get in front of them.
Yeah, amazing. Thanks, Linda. And so in terms of your point about the product and how excited people are to see it and understand it, if you could explain, like I'm a 5-year-old, what would product line expansion look like for the coming years?
For sure. So right now we have a microbiome test that's a foundational test. Think of it like you go see your family doctor and they always run a blood test to see where you're at. Where we plan to continue product expansion is getting more specialized on tests. So maybe a gut test for skin health, maybe a gut test for brain health, as we continue to learn more and more about what these particular biomarkers are.
Yeah, amazing. Thanks, Linda. If there's any questions from the audience, feel free to throw them in the chat. And I'm just going to do a double check if there's any questions here. Nope, no questions. Linda, I think I'm going to let you have it off easy. I know the investors are deliberating right in the back right now, so I'm sure they have a bunch of questions for you over there. Linda, one thing to leave our audience with?
I would say everyone should get a gut test. That I get one every couple of months. I get all my friends and family tests. And it's so fascinating, the things you learn about yourself and how much control you actually have over your health journey. So yeah, I would say test, don't guess.
Test, don't guess. I love that. Thank you so much, Linda. If there's any questions, if you want to connect with Linda, her contacts will be thrown into the chat, I believe. And then I'll let Linda leave us and get the next venture on stage. Thank you so much. Okay, fantastic. So up next, we have ScotiaDerm, founded by Johanna Mercer. ScotiaDerm is a physician-led company dedicated to solving moisture-associated skin damage. I do want to put a disclaimer out to folks here. If you are squeamish in any way, please be advised that the presentation upcoming will be depicting some skin damage. So if you find some content uncomfortable, you're welcome to step away from the screen for a few minutes. And I'd love to get the recording up.
Hello, I'm Johanna Mercer. I'm the CEO of ScotiaDerm. More than 20 years ago, an ICU nurse asked my partner, Dr. Ann Gordon, for something for a patient's skin breakdown from incontinence and diarrhea. The damage was so severe, it could have been fatal. So Dr. Gordon ordered a product with all the active agents she knew were needed. When the pharmacist couldn't find such a product, she ordered it compounded. Turns out it worked beautifully. The nurses loved it. They dubbed it Dr. Gordon's Bum Cream. The only problem is 20 years later, we're still compounding it because there's literally been no innovation in decades. Now, the problem I'm talking about is known as moisture-associated skin damage. One form is caused by incontinence. Another occurs in moist, warm, chafed skin folds literally anywhere on the body. It's painful, often chronic and recurring. Worse, it's an independent risk factor for the development of pressure sores, and it's a factor in decisions to institutionalize elders. 800 million are at risk globally every day, with an incidence of 30% across healthcare. And this problem will grow 20% over the next 20 years as the population ages. The current standard of care is labor-intensive, involving cleansing and moisturizing, and then barrier creams and more barrier creams, and products such as drying agents, powders, sprays, dressings. When this fails and infection sets in, things get messy, expensive, and dangerous. Our original cream has been independently proven to heal 3 to 4 times faster than the current standard because it clinically addresses all the symptoms. Accessibility is critical to us. Our proprietary protocol, seen here, is derived from our original cream, and it complies with OTC regulations globally. And our natural proprietary anti-fecal agent, something we've just discovered, is shown here in a barrier cream on the left. And this is going to be a game changer. And let me show you why. We've tested it in all of our OTC topicals against damaging fecal enzyme activity, and they all performed very well. But it was our everyday barrier cream that was 97.5% effective, which is astonishing. And we believe it's the first and only prophylactic barrier product. And beta testers, including Crohn's and cancer patients, have confirmed these results. Now, zinc oxide and dimethicone are also OTC and moisturize, and they can take 2 or more weeks to heal if they heal, and dimethicone does not biodegrade. Expensive oral and topical prescriptions aren't suitable for chronic and recurring problems, and they do nothing to minimize expensive care. And there are literally no other products that address fecal damage. Ours has no prior art. This is an enormous and growing market. We estimate 38 billion annually, and our obtainable market is 380 million. Our beachhead is the formal home care and long-term care sector. We have already proven traction in hospitals where we've served thousands of patients. Manufacturing is in place, and concurrent to Health Canada Class 3 natural product study for novel anti-fecal claims, we are going to beta market, seen here in home and long-term care. With novel claims, licensing and distribution deals can kick in, and we can expand our reach to consumers in the unmet informal home care market. Currently, we are engaging with global multinationals in this sector. With novel claims that differentiate from all other products out there, we'll formally launch, that's us, and with licensing deals in place, this is what our forecast could look like. To get there, we're raising 1.5 million in 2 parts for an 18-month runway. We've secured about 400,000 of the first part to underwrite a Class 3 study, and the other half will launch our beta marketing and engage a chief business development officer. Ultimately, our mission is to improve the standard of care with proven accessible products that speed healing and reduce risk. Published studies and new best practices will reduce healthcare costs. Environmentally, our new active agent and our manufacturing will reduce exposure to chemicals, CO2 and plastic production, all of which lead to an improved quality of life for our caregivers, and most importantly, our patients, by providing them with improved health and dignity and independence. Dr. Gordon and I are on a mission. We've got a really great team behind us, and together we're committed to providing a legacy fund for our nurses and caregivers, because honestly, all of us need to be impact investors. Thanks for your time.
Welcome, Johanna.
Thank you. Hi.
It's so fantastic to meet you finally live in person, Johanna. I have a couple of questions that have come up for us, and so I'm just going to dive right into it. What is the current cost of skin damage associated with infections, and how are your products contributing to reducing these costs?
Oh, thank you. That's a really important question and probably deserves a couple of slides of its own. I can only speak to institutional care and not the larger consumer market, because we're not focused on that. And the answer is a little complicated because there are a lot of variables in this situation: a person's age, weight, health, stage of damage, and it also matters a lot who provides the care, because a lack of experience can quickly become expensive. So essentially, if damage can be prevented altogether with our natural anti-fecal barrier, or treated in a week with our OTC medicated topicals, then costs can be contained to a few $100s per patient, which is mostly nursing time. Unfortunately, the standard of care is trial and error over 2 or 4 or more weeks. But using our products and by removing guesswork and speeding healing, bottom up, our calculations are a cost saving of Canadian acute care hospitals ranging from $500 to $4,000 per patient. In long-term care, where MASD is chronic and recurring, this is an ongoing cost. We've also calculated top-down in North America and Europe. Combined institutional cost savings would be 6 to 65 billion annually. Now, this doesn't include liver enzyme tests or the elimination of other products, and it doesn't factor in pressure sores, which cost tens of thousands of dollars per patient. It doesn't capture the costs of informal home care or other consumer settings. So, as I said, it's complicated, but it's very significant.
Yeah. Johanna, I would imagine when you have these conversations as you go out into the market, trying to distill that very complicated information into a way or into a language that resonates with them is probably one of is a challenge, I would imagine.
It's-
How have, sorry?
It is difficult. It is difficult. And it's hidden. Yeah.
Yeah. And so how have you been approaching, there's a lot of people in the audience that don't come from a background that would be really conducive to understanding all the things that you talk about. So how do you, get over those challenges of being able to communicate the value, the cost savings, all the reasons why someone would want to invest in this product, invest in this team? What would you say to those folks that really need to try to understand the crux of what you're trying to solve?
Now, people think they don't know about it, but actually it's a hidden and pervasive issue. I think Essity said something to the effect that if incontinence was a country, it would be the third largest in the world. When you add in intertrigo, it effectively doubles. So I know it's not sexy, and it's hidden, and it's everywhere. And one of the issues is for the general public that because monograph drug rules haven't changed in 40 years, the language hasn't been updated either. So words to describe these issues to people aren't out there. But if you talk to a cyclist or a rugby player, their thighs rub together. Guess what that is, right? We have male ballet dancers who they got problems because stuff happens. So it's actually quite pervasive. For those that I speak to in long-term care and home care, they get it immediately. Yeah. They're like, oh, yes, please, you got a new product. Can I have it right now? Yeah. That's not an issue. But I think the fact that people don't understand that moisture damage and intertrigo is rampant and everywhere, it's just nobody talks about it. Yeah. It's embarrassing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we just don't. So that's kind of the issue. Getting it out into the open and talking about it is one of the biggest challenges, really.
Yeah, I love the examples you shared, because I would imagine I did this just this now, and I would imagine all 100 something of our audience members probably did the exact same thing, going, oh yeah, that makes sense. There's an application that would make sense in my world. I cycle, I do this, I do that. So it makes a lot of sense. So when you can kind of put it in their example terms, you can expand on where the applications might be for that. I have another question, Johanna, that came in. You mentioned licensing agreements with pharmaceutical companies. Oh, yeah. Can you share a little bit more about your strategy with regards to those companies, and how far along are you in your discussions with them? Let's come from an investor.
Sure, yeah. We've been preparing this approach with our lawyer, Vanessa Grant at Norton Rose Fulbright, from the get-go, which helps. So strategically, given we're a really small company solving a really big problem, we know that licensing will really quickly accelerate our growth and, importantly, our ability to meet patients. It can expand our geographic reach, like literally globally, but minimize the costs and risks of large-scale production, marketing, and distribution, because that's not who we are. And it can help us with it enter additional markets, as I was speaking about outside institutional care, including women's health, infants, consumers. Our plumber uses it regularly. Sports, and something that we haven't discussed is veterinary. It's actually another very large market. So at this point, what do we have that makes us attractive to big pharma? We've been working on this. We've spent years developing new products that are innovative, that have strong IP, that are backed by multiple studies and will have Health Canada novel claims, and also regulatory clearances, OTC, and natural products. So there's immediate access to all markets. And additionally, we're beta marketing. We've used in hospital, but we're beta marketing throughout Nova Scotia in association with the Nova Scotia Wound Care Program. All the wound care nurses are on board. And so our products will be validated by these wound care experts. No bias. And where are we in discussions? So we've been followed by 2 global multinationals since they participated in our international market validation study a couple of years ago, and we're in contact with 2 others. Interest is adult incontinence, wound care, infant care, and bariatrics, or what we call, it's obesity, essentially. There's one company that we favor that has all of these under one umbrella, as well as very, very strong sustainability policies, which is very important to us. Yeah. With them, we've signed a North American and an international NDA. We've had 3 meetings. We that presented at their head office, I think it's fair to say that there's very serious interest and alignment. And for investors out there who are wondering, well, how do I get my money back from a company that, is licensing? It's simple. It's through merger and acquisition. That's the exit plan.
Amazing. Thank you, Hannah. So, we have a People's Choice poll at the end.
Oh, yeah.
If you could,
this would be interesting. Yeah.
if you could leave the audience with one big takeaway of why you're excited or what you want the audience to leave with, what would it be?
Okay. So you have parents, chances are they're going to be old. Oh, and you might want to age. You might want to get old. So you're going to need this. You want this for your family and you want this for yourself. It's that simple.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you, Johanna. I just want to do one more check to make sure we answered all the questions that have come in. Sure. Fantastic. Thank you, Johanna, so much for your presentation and your pitch. Good luck. And I'll let you move off of stage. Fantastic. Okay, so we are now into our third venture, Vessel, founded by Sydney Robinson. Vessel is a pioneering novel prosthetics for amputees led by biomedical engineers, clinical autonomists, and prosthetists. I would like to call on the video for Sydney.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sydney, the CEO and co-founder of Vessel. Since my training in biomedical engineering, I've been passionate about prosthetic innovation. So I co-founded Vessel to dedicate my life to developing solutions. We've all worn poor-fitting shoes and gotten terrible blisters. But blisters are more dangerous for folks like Ed that have a leg amputation because they can lead to infection, hospitalization, and even another amputation. It all happens because Ed's leg shrinks and swells throughout the day and in the long term inside of his rigid socket. It is so frustrating and so painful that 16% of amputees would rather never walk again than wear their prosthesis. At Vessel, we've developed the Isoform socket, the only socket that automatically adjusts as Ed's leg shrinks and swells. Our proprietary technology dynamically adjusts the size of the socket with each step Ed takes, without relying on flimsy sensors, heavy batteries, or expensive motors. With Isoform, Ed avoids the pressure extremes that often lead to blisters, so he can walk around all day comfortably. Fewer clinic visits for poor socket fit, clinic visits that prosthetists are not reimbursed for, save prosthetic clinicians time and money. We've patented our technology with a PCT application, allowing us to expand into international markets, and a US utility patent, allowing us to get an examination date as soon as possible. The global $13 billion market is expected to double in the next decade, driven by the rising incidence in diabetes, which is the leading cause of leg amputation. We are focused on the United States first, where there are 185,000 new amputations every year. Our serviceable obtainable market is almost $1 billion annually when accounting for amputees' eligibility for their first prosthesis and the frequency with which they get a new one. Isoform's automatic passive volume adjustment outperforms 3 competitor categories. Manually adjustable sockets rely on constant manual operation, making them largely inaccessible. Traditional sockets are static, they don't adjust at all, and so Ed actually needs to take his leg off, put a sock on, and put his leg back on several times throughout the day. And bionic sockets are too expensive and bulky to even be on the market. Isoform improves amputees' comfort and therefore wear time, and our patent also unlocks an additional reimbursement code compared to our competitors, increasing revenue for prosthetists. Vessel operates in a business-to-business model with a global plan, but beginning in the United States. We will sell our socket to prosthetists, first through our own sales force, and then through distributors as we expand for $2,400 based on conversations with prosthetists and 2019 Medicare data. Prosthetists are reimbursed through existing insurance codes, and although the payment is a one-time fee, amputees are eligible for a socket replacement on average every 2.3 years, which supports a recurring revenue model. To go to market, we will leverage the Veterans Affairs 2% market share and uniquely strong funding model. We already have a cooperative research agreement with 6 of these healthcare centers, and from there we'll make a strong push to be adopted into the Hanger distribution network. It represents almost a quarter of all clinics in the US and has a close relationship with the VA. Together, these Large clinic networks will give us the resources and foundation to sell into smaller networks and individual clinics. In less than 2 years, we've confirmed our status as an FDA Class 1 medical device. So no long-term clinical trials needed to go to market. It's just based on standard business documentation and a one-day registration process. We also graduated from the Techstars Physical Health Fort Worth program, where we secured a clinical collaborator and signed 5 letters of intent with prosthetists. Our friends and family round, which we raised last year, was $350,000 US. We're using our funds to iterate our design with feedback from amputees. We're also raising a pre-seed round and registering with the FDA to prepare for commercialization later this year. My skills as a biomedical engineer and my co-founder's skills as a clinical anatomist are further complemented by Trey Bull's successful business exits. Our other advisors include Trace Wright, the founding prosthetist at Extremity Medical, and Jim Price, whose new products have generated nearly $1 billion in sales. Our current raise is $1 million, which will unlock 14 months of exciting new milestones, including revenue generation and clinical research. Vessel is the only company solving poor socket fit with a revolutionary solution. Join us in helping all amputees like Ed get reliably back on their feet. Thank you.
Welcome, Sydney.
Thank you so much.
Fantastic pitch. I have a bunch of questions for you. Can you share a little bit more about the story behind Vessel and why did you decide to focus on this specific problem?
Absolutely. So my background's in engineering. I started in mechanical, quickly lost interest in car engines, and decided to study the human body instead. And that was what led me to prosthetics. And then through my master's, I joined the Medical Innovation Fellowship, which is a program at Western University modeled after Stanford's biodesign. So it was 10.5 months of learning about entrepreneurship where I met my co-founder and we discovered this problem. We shadowed a doctor at a diabetes clinic where we met a lot of amputees that were struggling because their leg would change size inside of a prosthetic socket that never changed size. And we looked at each other like, this is a pretty foundational problem to have if you're going to be wearing a prosthetic leg. So that was where the passion for this really started. And just by learning more about the different market dynamics that are occurring right now, it really hit us that this was the perfect time to come up with a solution for this problem.
Yeah, amazing, Sydney. So Keith put in the chat, this is common sense, very compelling solution. So why wasn't a solution made earlier than recently? Well, why hasn't anything been created prior to this?
Great question. There's kind of 2 reasons for that. The first is that it's easier to innovate on the knee components, the ankle components, and the feet parts because those can be standardized person to person. So you can kind of make small, medium, large, whereas the socket has to be custom fabricated person to person because everyone's anatomy is so unique. And that's what makes this problem really, really challenging to solve. The other reason is because of reimbursement. So prosthetists that's the clinician. They are paid on a product to product basis. So it's a fee for device market. They're not getting reimbursed per clinic visit. And so they're very conscious of how much reimbursement they can get because it really limits their practice. And there wasn't any reimbursement for adjustable sockets. Now, April 1st of this year, a company in the space has been advocating for a new code for over a decade, and it just launched April 1st of this year. So this indicates a brand new $500 million market segment within prosthetics, specifically for adjustable sockets. And we are so excited to be at the forefront of that new market segment.
That's amazing. Sydney, I just want to dig into a little bit this I'm trying to follow the thread of passion because you started as, mechanical car, and then I can kind of see the connection of human body movement and that. But tell me a little bit more about how that passion grew, because prosthetics seems like a very specific way to come from engineering, but tell me a little bit more about where did that passion come from as you went through this journey?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So when learning about mechanical engineering and then moving into biomedical, biomedical is all about how can we augment human motion? And prosthetics is such a natural extension of that. So I had the opportunity in the fourth year of my undergraduate degree to work on an ankle foot orthosis. So like a brace between the calf muscle and the ankle for a 5-year-old girl. And all she wanted to do is be able to run in and out of the ocean, playing with her friends, and 5-year-olds make snap decisions on whether they want to be in the water or out of the water. So she wanted to be able to participate in that. And it was such a rewarding problem to work on. That was really what started my interest in prosthetics. And then honestly, it was learning about people's own experiences with amputation. When we started, not even the company, but just working on this problem, I learned that my dental hygienist's brother-in-law has an amputation. My mom's cousin's father-in-law has an amputation. I didn't realize I was personally connected to so many people with this issue. And that was really where the passion grew. It became an obvious thing to start innovating in when we heard from amputees that they would rather suffer than wear socks. Clearly, there was a need for this solution.
Yeah, amazing. Thanks, Sydney, for that insight. Last question before I have to wrap up into the next piece. So I saw that you went through the Techstars. You're an alumni of there. I'm going to ask you maybe a selfish question. Why did the Women-Led IIC? Why did you choose to join this program?
There is such an added advantage to being surrounded by passionate female founders, and especially by passionate female investors. So having the impact lens in this program, we're such an impact-focused company. Our mission statement is to empower folks with leg amputations to lead healthier, more comfortable lives. And I just found that through this program, our interests were so well aligned. I knew I was going to learn a lot, which I did from each session. And then I learned a lot from the fellow people that were not just the other founders, but then also all of the investors in my due diligence team. Everyone was so fantastic and really asked questions to get to the core of our innovation, which felt like they were curious and they wanted to learn more and they wanted to build us up. And it was just a really fantastic opportunity and experience to go through. So I'm really grateful that I got to be a part of it.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Sydney. So if anyone wants to connect with Sydney, feel free to connect with her. I think her LinkedIn is in the chat. And Sydney, I'll ask you to come off stage and move into the last and final. Thank you, Sydney. Our last and final pitch. Aruna Revolution. So Aruna, their team unfortunately could not be with us today for a live Q&A, but they've made it to this point. They're fantastic human beings and they're doing some incredible work. So we wanted to honor the fact that they've made it this far. So Aruna Revolution is revolutionizing the way we are managing our menstrual health with compostable menstrual products that are made out of natural fibers, and our products are better for our bodies and the planet. So I'd love to have their pitch up on the screen.
I was on my period one day and felt frustrated as I threw yet another pad into the garbage. Why was I having to pick between my well-being and the well-being of the planet? We looked into it, and these products that we merely use for 4 to 8 hours sit in the landfills for over 500 years. And there's over 20 billion of them, and their packaging that end up in the landfill every single year just in Canada and the US alone. And as if that wasn't bad enough, these products also contain harmful carcinogens such as PFAS and dioxins. This is a problem that 50% of the world's population faces. That's why we decided that it was time for a revolution. Aruna is revolutionizing the way we manage our menstrual health with compostable menstrual products that are better for the body and the planet. We utilize food and crop byproducts and residuals as our feedstock because right now farmers and food manufacturers spend a lot of their resources to either burn or send their waste to landfills where it releases millions of tons of greenhouse gases. We offer a cheaper alternative for them to dispose of it, channeling this waste into our proprietary transformation process to turn it into menstrual products. And the result? Well, every single pad that we make turns waste into worth, providing dignity and protection to menstruators while honoring our planet. And our process lets us use almost any type of plant-based waste to turn into clean and soft fibers for our pads. We value data-driven proof, so we've tested our pads alongside our sustainable competitors, and the result, these so-called biodegradable options, and biodegradable, by the way, just means that it can be broken down by microorganisms without the guarantee of an environmentally friendly output, and so they're not really regulated and don't truly decompose and often turn into microplastics. And our compostable rivals come with the limitations of requiring very uncommon conditions that are not present in composting facilities today. So we've worked directly with the composting manufacturers to ensure that we don't need these uncommon conditions and that our pads actually compost within 30 days. We've made an effort to consider both the upstream and the downstream variables of our process, because it's not enough to just use sustainable feedstock into creating sustainable materials if these materials are going to cause harm in the future. So that's why our pads are compostable both industrially and at home. And on top of using the sustainable materials, we've realized that they're really excited about the comfort, the absorbance, and the leak proof that come with our environmentally friendly pads. And what we've realized is in this industry, the greater the sustainability, we've noticed the lower the functionality. However, we've put in the time to innovate a pad that has optimized both functionality and sustainability by mastering the fiber science, so that we've increased superior wicking, absorbency, without sacrificing sustainability. With Aruna, you truly won't have to choose between your body and the planet. To no one's surprise, there is a large market demand for menstrual products. By 2030, the global market is projected to grow to $68.7 billion. But we've realized the value of our fibers and see our products growing into diapers, incontinence products, maternity products, medical products, just to name a few, where we have the potential to significantly reduce landfill waste. And we'll be tackling all of this by starting with our beachhead market of menstrual products, by taking advantage of a new amendment to Canada's Labour Code that requires federally regulated employers to provide menstrual products at work. And we're going to be doing this by providing a subscription for the businesses that allows them to provide the best menstrual products for their employees while meeting the federal mandate, while also providing us with an ongoing revenue stream and bringing awareness to consumers for when we do launch into the larger D2C market. Our team of engineers, scientists, and nurses who are also menstruators have created a pad that is not only better for the planet, but also better for our bodies. And our advisors, who are retired employees of Procter & Gamble, Johnson & Johnson, with a cumulative of over 100 years of experience in this industry, along with the many, many other supporters, have got us to where we are today. We have big goals. We want to ensure that every single person that needs access to menstrual products has access to menstrual products. This is our number one goal, and this comes from our experience of understanding what the lack of access to menstrual products can do. Menstrual products are crucial to social and economic participation and gender equality. In addition to diverting waste from the landfills for the feedstock that we're using, we're also going to be targeting the waste that is currently ending up in the landfills from menstrual products, so the 20 billion menstrual products in their packaging in Canada and the US. And finally, we're also going to be looking at the GHG reductions as well. So right now we've brought down the GHG emissions of menstrual products from 7.8 kilograms CO2 equivalent per person per year down to 2.96 per person per year. But we're going to be aiming for a net zero as we scale up and implement more sustainable manufacturing practices, including things like sustainable power. Our goal is to bring that down to net zero. So right now we're raising 1 million that we're going to be using to bring on our key hires, which include marketing and operational team. And we're going to be increasing our marketing as we launch our products to the market, while also scaling up our pilot facility to be able to utilize more fibers. Thank you for your time. We hope you join our revolution.
Thank you, Aruna. They're an amazing company. They're extraordinary. And although they can't be here online with us live tonight, please do connect with them. The website is in the chat. Find her on LinkedIn. They're just an extraordinary group of people that would love to have support as they go forward. So that's it. We've got through all the companies. So huge thank you to all the companies to get to this point. A lot of preparation, a lot of work has gotten us to this point. Each of these ventures, they represent the future of a sustainable and impactful innovation economy. So it's been an absolute pleasure in having them in our program. So our investors have been deliberating as all these pitches have been going. That's a job I do not envy at this point. And while they're tasked with a very difficult job of choosing the one winner, you now have the task of choosing People's Choice Award. So in a moment, if it's not already up, a poll will appear, and think long and hard about who you think deserves to win the People's Choice Award. And while you're doing that, I'd love to call upon Caroline and a couple of alumni of the Women-Led IIC on stage.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Luann. Yeah, as you said, those were such incredible ventures. And I have also heard that it's been extremely difficult in the investor deliberation room. So yeah, hopefully they'll be able to come to a conclusion by the time that I've had this chat with our 3 alumna. Right. So yeah, as Luann mentioned, I have the pleasure of actually talking to 3 alumna. So 3 winners of our previous Impact Investor Challenges. So tonight is our 3rd Women-led Impact Investor Challenge, but actually over the past 5 years, this is our 17th challenge. That's incredible. We've had the privilege of witnessing and supporting numerous ventures and women-led companies that are doing remarkable things. As I mentioned before, this is the start of the beginning. So in terms of Spring support and interaction, we really value and welcome ongoing interactions, questions, and seeing these incredible founders thrive on their journeys. So we're going to be welcoming up in a minute Julie Angus of Open Ocean Robotics, and she was the winner of our first ever Impact Investor Challenge in 2019, which was sort of Impact General. And then Carolina Valente of Voxel Bioinnovations, and she was the winner of our Women-led Challenge in 2022. And then Roya Agigi, if I pronounced your surname right, of Light One, and she is the very recent winner of our Women-led Challenge from 2023. So going to be welcoming them on stage and invite each of them to share a bit about themselves. Hello, awesome.
Hello.
Great
to be here.
Hi guys. Hello. Thanks all for joining.
Absolutely.
So really, this is your time. What I would love for each of you to start with is just a brief introduction about yourself, obviously your venture that you're working on, and then we'll dig into some meatier questions. So Julie, as our longest standing IIC winner, our first winner, I'd love you to go first, and then maybe in chronological order.
Yeah, thank you, Carolyn. It's hard to believe it's been 5 years since I won the Spring Impact Investor Challenge. So my name's Julie Angus. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Open Ocean Robotics. We're a Victoria, BC-based company in the marine technology sector. So we are revolutionizing ocean monitoring with our innovative solar-powered autonomous boats, also called uncrewed surface vehicles, and AI-driven software. And we scale ocean data collection by providing affordable, sustainable, and user-friendly solutions. So we provide critical ocean insights for offshore energy, government, and research.
Hello, everyone. I'm Carolina, and I'm the CEO of Voxel. Voxel is also a Victoria company, so we are very close to each other, Julie. And what Voxel is doing is we are using bioprinting technology to create human-like cancer tissue models. And the idea is to be using these tissue models as a drug screening platform to give some insights to pharmaceutical companies about what drugs are working, which ones are not, before they get to clinical trials. So the goal is really to accelerate the drug development process and getting those therapies to the hands of people who need them sooner.
Very glad to be here. Like I said in the chat earlier, it's since we are the recent winner, it's really refreshed all the anxiety before knowing the results. So it's really good to be on the other side of it for once. I'm Roya. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Light One, where we are revolutionizing the toxic and inhumane industry of colors. It may be shocking to a lot of us that we just, see colors all around us when we take them for granted, that they are the darkest side of many supply chains, and they cause a lot of issues. So we are doing this by growing colors from microorganisms in a complete circular process that are 100% sustainable, and they're just fun to work with as well. And very glad to be here.
Awesome. And just so ridiculously inspired by the big challenges that each of you are working on, and also the deep tech and the intellectual property that you've been developing on that journey as well. That's huge. So as we await the news of who will be invested in this evening, each of you have obviously been on your own fundraising journeys during and since the IICs, the challenges you were part of. So I'd love to hear a bit more about that journey. Since the challenge, what are the ways that your experience, if at all, has changed the way you approach fundraising or thought about how to connect with investors and maybe even the types of funders and investors that you're interested in having on board? So I'm not going to put words in your mouth here. Each of you have been on your own unique journeys since. But maybe if we go in reverse order, Roy, I'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, that's a really great point you brought up right now. One of the biggest learnings for us throughout joining or being a part of the Spring program was that investments and partnering with investors is a whole new marriage on its own. It's really important to choose carefully who you bring on board, what their vision and intentions, and what their bigger picture of joining you is as a company and as founders. And that was the biggest learning for us, because we saw the other side of investor mindset through being really closely working with investors that were working with us through the Spring journey and this program. And it was really great to be able to have that long time of transparent, open communication and conversations, not only for them to do due diligence, but also us having a chance of bringing them up to the speed about every reasoning behind what we do and every single complicated aspect of the supply chain that we are tackling. Because as much as every single person can be super expert and knowledgeable in their own very specific field, we are not necessarily expert in everything. So they opened up and they gave us this opportunity to be able to bring them up to speed, show them why we are doing what we are doing, and their openness was really inspiring to then become picky when we are bringing new investors on board in that sense.
I'm so glad that it. Oh, sorry, Carolina. I'm so glad that it empowered you in that sense, that you really then had that two-way understanding of actually which are the investors that we would love to have on board, and how do we go about really helping them understand in depth about our product and our mission.
Yeah, in particular, I feel like a lot of the times as founders, when you're going through fundraising journeys, it feels like a one-way communication stream. You're just providing information. The feedback that you're getting is so little to compare with what you're providing out there that it becomes really hard to read what they're really after. What could I provide that could help you in your decision making, or really show the different side of our venture and journey to you and stuff like that. So I hope that more investors take that approach.
Awesome. Carolina?
I think it's a very valuable feedback that was provided about being a little bit picky, for a lack of a better word, because it does become a relationship, and especially early stage, they can definitely make your life easier or quite hard. So I think that's something that is quite important, again, especially on the early stage. Something that we learned from going through this program was definitely the ability and getting better, actually, I would say, of highlighting our impact. And believe it or not, Voxel is in the oncology space, and for us it was so intuitive, the impact, but Spring really helped us to make that concrete and to make that easy for investors to easily understand and grasp the impact of the technology and what we are planning for Voxel. So that was something that definitely came as a very, very large positive outcome. And what that led us is to, after that, our second round of financing was really focused on those investors that were there because of the impact. They understood that in terms of biotech, the timeline is longer. So it's not someone that is trying to get a quick return, because that's not realistic for what we are building, but they are investing in the company because they truly believe on the mission. And that was something that we really learned from going through the Spring program.
Amazing. I remember going through your theory of change and just realizing how much you just took for granted and didn't realize that you were doing that was really intentional and really thoughtful in terms of how you are hiring, how you are treating your employees and team members. You were kind of living and breathing impact, but not even appreciating the full extent. So I'm so glad to hear that has actually also helped on your fundraising journey in future. And congrats on the second raise as well, and your ongoing.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Julie, love to hear from you.
Yeah, I learned so much. I mean, I had just co-founded the company a few months earlier, and fundraising was completely new to me. So it was about learning how to communicate to investors, understanding what was important to investors, and understanding that it was a two-way relationship. And their feedback and input really helped guide our commercialization journey as well. The importance of aligning our tech roadmap with the customers that wanted our technology to really make a difference, to really make an impact. And I think that was very, very important, and that set us up for success. Since that first challenge, we've raised almost $10 million from grants and from investors, and we've secured revenue at north of 4 million so far. So I think it was really important for setting us up for success, because fundraising and building a company is so hard, and you need to surround yourself by the best people to make that happen. And Spring really gave us access to some of those great people and great mentors.
It's been amazing to see your trajectory since. Huge congratulations. And that was a seamless, unintentional segue as you're talking about your growth. But, we heard from Kathy of Nurse Next Door earlier, and talking about her growing and scaling journey and mindset. I love the fact she was talking about leaning into her intuition was actually what unlocked some of her superpowers, as well as hiring people who were better than her. And then ultimately building a company that was founded on a thriving team. So each of you are on your own sort of growing and scaling journey. I would love to hear any lessons learned along the way. And maybe Carolina, if we start with you this time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there are so many lessons, right? Getting the right investors, it's one of them. But I think the main lesson that I learned is we can't undervalue leadership, and basically getting better in terms of leadership skills. And I think that's something that it's quite important, something that I'm working on it every day, and training my own managers every day on becoming better leaders to lead this organization. A lot of our employees, they are a very young group of people, which means that this is one of their first jobs that they are having. And the reality is, my goal with Voxel, on top of creating a platform that can really have an impact in the drug development process, my second goal is building professionals that become highly qualified and capable of getting jobs anywhere. So not underestimating the value of leadership and having skills to deal with the different personalities, because I always thought that an engineer would be applicable. If they had the technical skills, they would be applicable. But the reality is, not everyone is fit for a startup. And that is very true since the beginning. So you get to see very quickly. So I like the comment about going with your gut, because the truth is, a lot of the times I did know in my gut that people were not a good fit, but you're also constrained with time, you're constrained with money and other things. So learning to develop that leadership skills, those management skills, and learning how to deal with people, because it's definitely not one size fits all.
Yeah, whilst it sounds so simple to go with your gut, go with intuition, I completely agree. And also the fact that it's not just a one and done, okay, I've been on a leadership course, that, as the dynamics, the workforce, the macroeconomic environment evolve, that we always need to be topping up and staying current and growing ourselves. So I really love your mindset there. Roy, I would love to hear your thoughts on learnings as you're growing.
Yeah, I think this is just building on top of what Carolina was mentioning about for us, for both me and my co-founder, we grew from a smaller team, like a very tiny team, to a bigger one right after closing this round. And it suddenly became about handling complexity of humans. And as much as everybody can be amazing experts in their fields and, the job title and all of that, but they're essentially bottom line humans, and every human is really complicated. So growing into executive roles from just being founders of a very early stage startup, it has been a huge learning curve. It has its own rewarding moments, obviously, and a lot of challenges. So being adaptable, as Carolina was mentioning, is really important, because not every single person is going to be the same. And there's no like formula fits all. You just really need to be able to be agile in how you even talk to different people, or like express your opinions and all of that, which is, again, really, really rewarding, but it often feels like having a million kids at the same time. So also like a lot of work.
Yeah, I feel like they don't have that disclaimer when they talk about startups. Julie, I see you nodding at a few points there.
Yeah, I have to agree with all of that. I think intuition is so important. And I think now that I've been in this role for longer, I'm trusting my intuition more, because I can see how things played out if I follow my intuition or if I don't. I think being in a startup, it is constantly changing. From when we first started, we had 2 co-op students to now we have 25 people, and we have all these different departments, and so my role has to change, and I'm no longer involved in anything, feels like that some days, in everything.
What's your secret about that?
I'd like that. So building the right team is really important, and sometimes building the team can get more complicated as you grow. So for example, we had one year where we hired over 10 people. We doubled in size, and that's a big change. And then you go through periods of different growth. Like right now, we are moving more into commercialization. So we're not doing as much R&D. We really need to scale sales. So how does your team adjust and adapt to those different stages? So there's been so many learning experiences, but I would say the overarching one is adaptability, surrounding yourself with smarter people, leaning on advisors, trusting your team and guiding them, and finding everybody's superpower and putting them into a position that elevates that. Because I think one of the things with a startup, a career ladder doesn't need to be linear. It can be more like a jungle gym. So you can move around, you wear many different hats, and the role that a person might best fit into isn't necessarily the one that they started in.
And I didn't ask this of you beforehand, but you all sound so wise, and I love that. Where are you getting this wisdom from? Where is the sort of, for the founders in the room who are saying, okay, how do I learn all that?
By making a lot of mistakes and learning from them. That is it. There is no secret to it besides hard work and learning from mistakes. Yeah,
I couldn't agree more. It's the school of hard knocks.
Always learning on practice. I think it's never like taking this course and now you're somehow a master in this thing, magical, successful co-founder. I don't think any of that really exists. But also there are times that proactive approaches can be taken. Like there are times that you foresee something happening, or you, based on the interactions that you have with your team, you foresee something is wrong. So digging into it and kind of like really trying to tap into your network of mentors or people that walked this path before and ask them their opinions about something similar to this that has this happening to me. Like, do you know, how did you approach it? How do you best approach it? Because as much as it's just like hard, because when you're a founder, you're really, really zoomed in into like what you're doing. And there's always a different angle to look at things. So it's really like reaching out is also really effective.
Interesting. I was expecting kind of more of you to say something like advisors or peers. Is that, Julie and Carolina, is that something that you reach out to as well?
Definitely, they always have an impact, but I think a lot of it was also gut feeling and just learning from previous mistakes. So there is always a confirmation from advisors that I go and I seek help, and I already go with the solutions, and I just seek confirmation on those or corrections. But there is a lot that have come from just getting better every day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think advisors are very important for for me as CEO, but also for other leaders in our team. And the role they've played throughout our company's growth, I feel, has also varied. At the beginning, I really relied on advisors a lot, and I learned so much about setting goals, building the company. Now I rely on advisors for specific pieces of information. So whether it's employee compensation, investment advice, or technical advisors on certain things. And then there is a peer group as well. So other, CEOs who are going through the same thing and being able to bond over that and learning how they have dealt with it. So there's a lot to be said about those lessons and also that emotional support, which I think is really important because it is a hard journey.
I really want to double down on that too. For me, it was also the same case, like having a group of peers that are also walking the same journey, obviously some a little bit behind, some a lot more advanced, is going to give founders that spectrum of like, you can provide support, but also if you need it, you can tap into the network of people that are just recently experiencing very similar type of interactions, conversations, questions, challenges, anything of that sort, has been invaluable. That emotional support, that that you're not the only one experiencing this very specific challenge. It's like a common thing for a growing CEO or like a growing company to be able to face these things.
Yeah, and obviously, like, that's completely in the intent behind this entrepreneurial and impact-driven community we're building, that there also is that values alignment, that you kind of get each other. You don't need to explain that part of the business model. Okay, are you up for a super quick round robin? Because I would love to ask this question, and I know I'm running over. Maybe in one sentence each, what is your big challenge or next chapter and ask of this amazing community? So, Carolina, sorry, Roya, go for it.
Oh, sorry. Anybody else?
You go.
Okay.
You go.
So I think for me, as we are growing our manufacturing process, as we're growing our team, we are really realizing that Canada has a lot to offer in terms of so much resources that we have, but sadly, it's very divided. It's all sector oriented between different provinces. And if you really need to, for example, in our case, we need to access biomanufacturing, and in BC, there is not much of it. So we have to tap into like East Coast network for that. So it becomes a little bit challenging to be able to really effectively scale and grow and keep up with the momentum of our roadmap in that sense. That's something that we are experiencing. And that was just one example of a similar challenge. And I don't know if even like anybody in this community has any support to provide in that, but I hope to see that we all take any even small action to make that easier for more of a collective collaboration nationwide. Because at the end of the day, yes, we are individuals, startups, we are private sectors, but we are all working towards a big sustainability goal for the whole country. So I would like to actually see that happening a lot more in any context.
I would say our biggest challenge is what we knew it was coming, is the jump between R&D towards commercialization. That jump is so important, it's so challenging, and we have a highly technical team. And right now we realize, as Julie was saying, that team has to grow a little bit more towards the business. So the ask for the community is to, first of all, to spread the word that our first commercial product is available for purchase in our website, which is our Bio Ink, to be used in bioprinters out there to create artificial human tissue models. And the second ask is going back to that growing the business team is anyone that would like to support us with marketing, sales. We are amplifying the team. So we are looking for people to help us on the sales and pilots that are coming and everything involved with our technology. Thank you.
Yeah, for me, we are closing our pre-Series A round right now. It is 90% committed, but we do have a little bit of room for investors who are impact focused, care about sustainability, and in particular the ocean, and have interest in hardware software plays. If anybody's interested, please reach out.
Absolutely. Thank you, all three of you. Really, really appreciate your time, and just so incredible to hear your journeys since, and really appreciate your contribution to this amazing community of founders. So thank you. And we're next going to hear who is the People's Choice and then the final winner. Awesome. Hi, Luann.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
I'm very excited to be back. What an amazing panel, and it's such a privilege to be able to hear past winners to come back and give back to the community and provide their insights on their journey. So just maybe as a back behind the curtains, this is a whole production to get us to this point, to do this. So we have actually a group chat going off, and it's all about deliberation. And at one point of the deliberation, there was a three-way tie with the companies. And I said to Carol, we gotta either buy more time or figure out how we're gonna break this tie. So just so you know, there's a lot of drama that happens behind the scenes to get to the point of figuring out who the winner is. So that being said, People's Choice Award is Scotiaderm. Scotiaderm, you won by a landslide. I can't physically see the poll, but I think you won by a landslide, if that's the case. And I think I probably shouldn't install anymore. Should I, Carol? Or should I?
No, it's all yours. Take it away.
No? Okay. So we did manage to break the three-way tie. So that was fantastic. And the winner is Vessel. Congratulations, Vessel. Sydney, I think you are backstage, I hope, to come on screen.
Yes. Hi.
Yes, amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you all so much. Oh, I'm honored. It's I'm beyond words. I'm so excited.
So you didn't prepare an Oscar speech? Well, like that is.
I feel like I'm winning an Oscar. That's for sure. No, there's so many people that I'd like to thank. Starting with my team, which is twofold. I'd love to thank the due diligence team. I had such a fantastic group of folks that asked so many amazing questions and really got down to the heart of what our innovation is and why now is the best time to be bringing Vessel to market and to be investing in Vessel. So thank you all. And then thank you, of course, my team at Vessel. We are a small but mighty team and growing every day. So I'm just so thrilled to be building this alongside them and for all of their support. I truly could not ask for a better team in either sense. So thank you all so much for your support and for this opportunity. I'm absolutely flabbergasted.
Love it. I mean, huge congratulations. This is just absolute testament to the amazing due diligence journey that you've gone on and building those relationships, really helping them understand the problem that you're solving and your solution and why you. So congratulations. I'm super excited for you. This is the start of the beginning.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And this is just going to propel us forward so much. I'm already thinking of who we get to tell and how much we can really push this forward. So thank you again so much.
Yeah. Sydney, what is the first thing you're immediately going to do after this?
Probably jump up and down out of this chair and do a little bit of a dance, and then just go through a list of people that I've got to tell. So many supporters who I said, make sure you tune in. Like we're really excited. So a lot of people who I get to say thank you to, and then think of ways how we're going to just hit the ground running.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Sydney.
Thank you all so much. Really appreciate it.
Take care. Have a good time jumping up and down.
I will.
Amazing.
Yeah, that was an extremely tough choice, as we heard and as we felt ourselves. That was, we have some incredible entrepreneurs and ventures. And I mentioned before, what's fun is to see how each of them go on their journeys from here. And they're now part of the Spring Community for Life. So this isn't it for everyone. Many of them, actually, including Carolina of Voxel, she was a finalist and then went on to win another challenge. So I'm really excited to seeing how we can support each of those incredible leaders and ventures going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. The community that we build as you go through the program, as you move on to the next phase of your entrepreneurial journey, it never ceases to amaze me of how much and how giving people are in terms of time, in terms of talent, in terms of all the things that help support an entrepreneur on the next phases. So as you saw on our panel, they're forever part of the Spring alumni community, no matter what. So really excited for those finalists and the people that have gone through this program. So maybe, Carol, let's move into wrap.
Absolutely. So I can share my screen, but ultimately I wanted to give a teaser as to how people can get involved with other activities. So with regards the investment this evening that's being made, if anyone is interested in joining that investment, please feel free to reach out to our team. So we'll put Davina's name in the chat. So there could definitely be an opportunity for you to be involved as an investor. And then we have some more upcoming news. So we have our Impact Investing Network, so the Spring Collective. And that is a collective of angel investors across the country, new and experienced, who are all committed to impact-driven angel investment. So we meet on a monthly basis, meet with and hear from incredible ventures. And recent investments have been in UVX and Save to See, if you're familiar with those. And then we also have more activities around investing with a gender lens. So reaching out to everybody across the country, if you're interested in learning more, this is really a sort of foundational program helping you understand what is angel investing, what does it mean to invest with a gender lens. So that's coming up soon in June. And that will be in collaboration and presented by Pontus Spande. And then we have our next Impact Investor Challenge. So hot off the press, we have had the pleasure and excitement to be able to work with RBC Foundation on this program. And we will be announcing all of the ways in which you can sign up and enroll, whether that is as an investor or as an entrepreneur. But that's going to be happening this fall or autumn. And here we're just sort of celebrating our recent winners of the Atlantic Clean Tech Scale Up and Investment Challenge, QSC. Fantastic founders there as well. And almost there. So another program. So this is for the entrepreneurs, the health entrepreneurs in the room. We're going to be launching that for BC Health Innovation Entrepreneurs on the 3rd of July. It's going to be sort of an investment readiness programming with additional content that is specific to Indigenous and also separately gender diverse founders. So super excited to be doing that in partnership with Discovery Foundation and with support from WeBC. QR code, links in chat, so many ways in which you can get involved and join the community. But in the meantime, what we're going to be opening up shortly is a networking space. So we wanted to say, I'm going to hand over to Luann. She can kind of close us out, but we're super excited to continue the conversation with you, whether that is through these programs or in networking after this.
Thanks, Carol. So to Carol's point, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're an investor, if you're curious about any of the things that we're doing at Spring, there's so much going on at all times. So the best way is either reach out to one of our staff directly, Davina, all the people that you're seeing in the chat, myself, Carol, or the QR code. There's just so many ways to get involved, no matter where you are in your journey. So as we come to the end of our finale today, just huge appreciation, gratitude to all of you folks to show up, to be here with all of us and joining us. Big thanks goes out to all our partners, our sponsors, our guest speakers, our panelists, our coaches. Obviously, this was a whole thing to get to us, to get to this point, and we could not do this alone. A huge thanks to our Spring team as well. So all this that you see live, Davina, Natalie, Nina, Selena, everything you see here is a lot of their hard work. We have launched, I think, a feedback survey. So please just tell us tell us how we did. We always want to improve and iterate and get better. So please give us some feedback that we can use for our next investor challenge. And to Carol's last point, we have networking rooms opened up, and so we would love to continue this conversation. So I believe there's 2 rooms open. There's a facilitator in each one. So I don't know how to get in there because you see a different screen than I do, but I think there's a link somewhere where you can click into the networking rooms.
And the incentive is that you have the wonderful Liv from our team who's been living it up in the chat this evening, and Erin and Fabi. So please do join them as your conversation hosts and Kickstarters in those networking rooms. Anyways, really appreciate your time this evening and your support along the journey. Thank you.
Thank you all.